Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic to have so many of you, in front of their own screens. Well, my name is Adam, and I am going to be your online content creator for the next hour. And we are going to tour the Buda Castle Quarter during the time of the sunset. The sun just set behind the cloud cover like 3 minutes ago. We're gonna see the twilight. We're gonna see when the lights are, when the spotlights and the floodlights are turned on. So you will see a bit of the Buda Castle Quarter lit up as well. You will experience where Budapest is changing for its from its day dress to its ballroom dress. So sorry. Anyways, I'm a local guide, so I'm celebrating the beauty of my city 24/7. This is your tour, so feel free to ask questions. You can either unmute yourself and ask questions like that, or you can grab your keyboard and you can fire it up in the chat section. Well, the idea is that we'll start at the Matthias Church. So you probably heard the church bells as well. And then we are going to progress to the Fisherman's Bastion. And then, well, I'm going to cross the Buda Castle Hill from the easternmost part to the westernmost part. And we will see the Buda Hills as well. Fingers crossed at the time when the colors start to pop. And we'll walk through the so-called medieval Old Town, sort of like a village, trapped in the body of the Hungarian capital city. And then we'll make it to the royal riding stables, the presidential palace, to the Buda Castle, to the building, and we'll conclude the tour with some breathtaking views. So that's what I've lined up for you for the next roughly 1 hour. Are you ready?
Yes. Ready.
Perfect, 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 perfect. Also, if you let me know where you're from, where you're joining this tour, I'll do my best to come up with some stories linking Hungary to the place where you joined the tour from.
Okay. I'm located in Austin, Texas right now.
Well. Texas, maybe. US, definitely. Austin, no way. I'm not that good.
I'm located in Florida.
Okay. Okay, well, we have Fort Worth. Now with Fort Worth, I have a story. I'm gonna change the angle one last time, and then I'll promise you're gonna enjoy the beauty of my hometown, not this. So Fort Worth is basically a sister city of Budapest. I have a story also with Orlando. I'm getting there. So Fort Worth is a sister city of Budapest. So a few years back, the city of Budapest was welcoming the municipality, members of Fort Worth's municipality. And the idea was that every member of the guest team of Fort Worth's team will have a dinner with a local. Well, I got the pleasure to participate one of those dinners. And the one I had dinner with is still member of the municipality in Fort Worth. Yay! Don't ask her name. It won't come up in my mind. She is mostly into mass transit and the light train between Fort Worth and the airport, I believe. Now, we are a small nation, but a story with everyone. That's our specialty. So what we have in front of us is basically the so-called Fisherman's Bastion, one of the landmarks of Budapest. And the statue in front, the equestrian statue in front, happens to be the equestrial statue of King Stephen. Well, I'm going to stop here for a brief second. I guess this line is quite obvious to all of you. Well, these white lines form actually a compass, and all four directions are marked. And the direction that the king and his horse are facing is west. It was King Stephen and his father who decided that Hungarians shall join the West. And we shall introduce the Western cultural standards, and we shall introduce the Roman Catholic Church. So ever since this decision has been made, well, we are trying to level up to the West. But the specialty of the Hungarians is that we always manage to pick the wrong side. So we've never been bored. And we always had someone to fight against, and we always lost with style. So although this decision was made basically in 1000 and prior to 1000, the past 1024 years were not enough for Hungarians to level up to the West. So here we are. There is still a gap between Hungary and the Western world. We try to fill that gap actually by bragging, by being ridiculously proud of our hometown, of our homeland. And well, the church behind where we started from happens to be the so-called Matthias Church, also known as the Church of Our Lady, also known as the Coronation Church. The last two coronation ceremonies took place in this very church. The last but one coronation ceremony happened to take place in the previous version of this church, which looked as well. Bear with me. I prepared some extra bonus special content for all of you. So the previous version of the church looked like so. This photo was basically taken from the very point where I'm standing, not with a wide angle lens, but with a normal old-fashioned lens. The tower is something noticeable even today. Well, to the south from the church, we have the Jesuit seminar, and to the north, well, we have a school to young girls. Well, this view looks as is today. So you can see that there was quite a bit of a facelift that took place during the late 1800s. So this would be the tower, the eastern side of the Matthias Church, and what is missing is actually the seminar. You can see that there is quite a bit of a gap between the nearest building to the Matthias Church and the church itself. The seminar was also deconstructed during the late 1800s as facelift. What is also new is actually this equestrial statue and the fisherman's bastion. By the way, the local time is 5:30 p.m. We passed the peak hours, so we'll have quite a bit of space for ourselves to enjoy the breathtaking views of Budapest. And since the timing is so impeccable, well, and the light conditions are not as predicted, well, I will be able to show you the House of Parliament as well lit up. The thing is that the illumination system in Budapest is light sensitive. So as soon as it gets dark, we turn on the lights. So it's not time-based, but light condition based. it's a little bit unpredictable. And when I was bragging earlier during the planning process that I know when the lights are turned on and when the sun sets, apparently the only thing that was predictable was the sunset. Even the weather forecast was well faulty for this day. The Fisherman's Bastion apparently features 7 towers. This is and features a bunch of gates as well. This would be one of the most Instagrammable gates of all. In the morning, prior to sunrise during the golden hour, imagine like a half-hour long queue here. Engagement photos, wedding photos, and well, tons of social media content has been taken here. And well, lucky you, this week, the city of Budapest is celebrating the week of the unique illnesses. And for that reason, the Fisherman's Bastion is lit up differently than it is usually. So you will see the the Fisherman's Bastion itself. Well, there's a bit of a bottleneck here, in different colors than usual. The standard color of the floodlights is actually like neon white, but today a part is in pink, a part will be in yellow, and a part will be in green or blue. So again, impeccable timing that provides me quite a bit of a bragging right. So 7 towers. The shape of the towers symbolize the shape of the tents we used to live in. Hungarians are nomadic people, or were nomadic people. Well, we are nomadic people now because we leave the country en masse to relocate to various corners of Florida and to various corners of Texas. Well, apparently I can't tell much about Illinois, so my apologies. Well, from the foot of the Ural Mountains, where the Hungarian tribes originate from, it took us hundreds of years, according to the mainstream narration of history, to arrive to the Carpathian Basin where Hungary is located today. And during those hundreds of years, Hungarians lived in tents shaped like the towers of the Fisherman's Bastion. You may have heard about the yurts. You may know that there are 2 different types of yurts, the Mongolian, which is flat, and the Kazakh, which is as pointy as ours. Well, the Hungarian tribes met with Kazakh people along the way from the foot of the Ural Mountains to the Carpathian Basin, and we learned the trade of living in yurts from Kazakh people, hence the pointy top of our tents. Well, we have the Matthias Church occupying the middle of our screen. You may wonder about the black tower that happens to be the ridge tower. It's the intersection of the side chapels and the main nave. That's the tower I am talking about. You may wonder about the roof tiles. Those happen to be hand painted. We talk about 150,000 hand painted tiles. Only the bottom of these ceramic tiles are painted. The upper part is, well, flat as a pancake. Well, we are quite pragmatic. And this would be the second batch of the tiles. The first batch dates back to the 1800s, the late 1800s, when the church went through this facelift. Well, I promised you the House of Parliament building that we have across the river. The House of Parliament building happens to be the 3rd largest parliament building in the world, after the one in Buenos Aires and after the one in London. And the other building that stands out from the general skyline of Pest is the St. Stephen's Basilica in the distance. It happens to be the second largest place of worship in the country. And well, in between Buda and Pest, now we are on the Buda side, across the river, that would be Pest. Well, we have the chain bridge, which happens to be the second permanent bridge to be built on the river Danube. And otherwise, we have the pink section of the Fisherman's Bastion, and we are in the green section, as you can tell from the floodlights. Trying to lean out as much as possible from the terrace, just to give you a nice angle. Well, since the Fisherman's Bastion is, well, shining in different colors, different than normally, well, all people are packed around me. So you can see that regardless of the time of the day, still tons of social media content is being taken. So with the six of us, we would have quite like difficulties fitting on this balcony. Well, we are going to leave for a little bit. And now that I have a little bit more space around me, I'm happy to point you out the hotel in front of us. I know it's quite weird that I'm showing you a brutalist hotel. Well, this would be Hilton. It was opened in '77, the 1st of January. Well, the Hilton Hotel was built on the ruins of a Dominican monastery. And the one that made Hilton Hotel possible in Budapest was actually Jaja Gabor. You may heard about her and about her sister. Well, they are textbook examples of Hungarian gold diggers, as we like to put it. Jaja was married to Konrad Hilton during the 1970s, and she was the middleman between the Hiltons and the Hungarian communist government. Well, the festive season was not too long ago, so we still have some festive lights in Budapest. It's considered cute at this time of the year to still have the festive decoration on the streets. Around Easter, it will be lame. And as of from September, it will be seasonal again. So basically, those who can take criticism can leave festive decoration out for the entire year. So 7 towers for the Fisherman's Bastion, and they do reflect in the windows of Hilton Hotel. They say that that's the nicest feature of this brutalist hotel right by the Matthias Church and the Fisherman's Bastion. And I am going to take you down to another sort of like Instagram spot, which will be only for us, and we can check out the green section of the Fisherman's Bastion with the House of Parliament in the background. Well, Tower 6 is the largest tower that represents the Árpád tribe. That would be the tribe from which the Hungarian royal family originates from. We only had one single royal family. They ruled over Hungary from 1000 till 1301. And ever since 1301, we have foreign rulers. That's why I was Janet's question, what's the name of the tribe? Well, Árpád, it is spelled as Arpad. So the Hungarian royal house is called Árpád House. So we are circling back to the Matthias Church and to its exquisite roof. The current design is said to be like Gothic or Gothic revival. And the dominant color of illumination happens to be yellow. And during the blue hour, when the bottom of the sky is dark blue as now, the blue and the yellow works perfectly with each other. So once again, thank you very much for the perfect timing of this tour. For photographers, this is the most beloved 35 minutes of the day. Well, this side entrance happens to be was dedicated for the royal couple. They entered from here. Inside, there is a spiral staircase between these two windows and the one to our right-hand side. The spiral staircase leads up actually to the oratorium. From there, the royal couple could join the masses. The Matthias Church was not part of the Roman Catholic Church. The upkeeper of the church was not the Roman Catholic Church. Between 1251 and 1999. It was the Jesuit order, and when the Jesuit order was shut down by the Habsburgs during the 1780s, the upkeeper became Buda. When Buda and Pest merged, the upkeeper became Budapest, and in 1999, the metropolitan municipality decided that it is better if the Roman Catholic Church would be the upkeeper. In 1991, the most prominent guest paid a visit to the Matthias Church. There was John Paul II. He was treated with a concert provided by the Matthias Church's choir, which happened to date back to the 1600s. So that's the choir with the longest continuous history in Hungary. And John Paul II liked the choir so much. Actually, he invited them to the Vatican as well to entertain him once again. Well, I really hope you like the angles, you like the visuals. I'm doing my best to make it as dramatic for you as possible, so that during my tour, you will find yourself on skyscanner.com trying to get the cheapest American Airlines ticket from Texas through Philadelphia to Budapest. I believe during the season, AA will resume its long-haul flight between Philly and Budapest. Fingers crossed. Well, across from the Matthias Church, we have the formal Department of Finances. That would be this building. The reason why I'm saying it's formal, because the building was damaged during the Second World War. Ooh, Liza's question, what is the best time of the year to visit? Well, it's tomorrow, and then the day of tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, and so on. Well, I would say from the second week of April, third week of April, till the end of May. Well, the weather is sort of like Indian summerish, and the city is still not packed. And then you may consider the third week of July, when again the city is quite, well, in July we have a shoulder season. And then from August till the third or fourth week of September, we are quite busy. And October will tone down again. So third week of September till third week of October, Indian summer. Second or third week of April till, third, fourth week of May, and then mid to late July. Circling back, formal Department of Finances, and in front of it we have the column to the Holy Trinity. In Hungary, there was quite a bit of a cult to the Holy Trinity. It was always up to the bishops and archbishops what cult was the most favored in Hungary. Sometimes it was the cult of Virgin Mary. Sometimes it was the Holy Trinity. It was really up to the head of the Hungarian Roman Catholic Church. The reason why we also named the Matthias Church as the Church of Our Lady is that the patron saint of the church happens to be Virgin Mary, that we call in Hungarian Our Lady. Since Hungarians haven't been baptized before their arrival to the Carpathian Basin, we believed in the forces of nature, and we worshipped actually three animals: the wolf, the eagle, and the bear. Well, a lot of figures from the previous shamanism were converted into Roman Catholic figures, like the cult of the Beautiful Lady was converted into the cult of Virgin Mary. So that's why the different name in Hungarian for Virgin Mary, Church of Our Lady. Now, this angle looked like, give me 1 second, looked like this prior to the 1880s. This window is something you can recognize, the tower as well, and the Holy Trinity column. So this is the previous version of the Matthias Church that was given a facelift during the late 1800s. So in live view, this is the window I marked. Well, the tower I marked. Well, we've seen the Holy Trinity column as well, that is now covered by these lovely 40 feet containers. There are lots of construction works at the moment in the Buda Castle quarter. The current political leadership wishes to return the Buda Castle to its last saved version, which happens to be, according to them, the 1944's version. So we are still in a distance from the church, so you will get an amazing angle. And you can also get an impression that there is not much traffic on the streets. That's why I'm, well, risking of walking in the middle of the road. Well, the Hilltop neighborhood happens to be a village, like trapped in a city, if you wish. We only have a few hundred people living on the hilltop, and they consider themselves villagers. Villagers like trapped in the city. They are separated from the rest of the city by its by the area's elevation and by obsolete defense lines that we only use today to prevent landslides. You can probably hear the bells in the distance, marking 6 p.m. local, why I'm showing you the equestrial statue of, well, Hadik. Well, he was a famous military officer during the 1700s. Hadik managed to invade Berlin for a single night. He was working for Maria Theresia between, well, she was our king between 1740 and 1780, followed by her successor was actually Joseph. And he was the one who closed down, shut down all religious orders. He was the one who shut down also the Jesuit order in Hungary. Now, may find it strange that I used the term king for Maria Theresia instead of a queen. Well, she was crowned to be a female king in Hungary because, as per the Bill of Rights, it was only the king that could call the Hungarian army in battle. The queen could not. Well, during the 1700s, we figured out that there is a loophole. The Hungarian Bill of Rights, the gender of the king was not fixed. So we figured that, okay, a king can be a female as well, no problem. I don't know if you heard about it, but Hungarians are said to be the loophole nation. We are the ones who will enter a revolving door behind you, but will exit in front of you. And well, there are certain risks when one is walking on the street. But anyways, these were the free cars of the hour. Well, the building across the street happens to date back to the 1400s. And since the 1400s, it has been, well, rebuilt several times. You may have to trust me on colors. The Burgundy lines actually show you the 1400s gate and the 1400s window. We believe that this building was was featuring a restaurant on the first floor, and the upper floor was the private quarter of this family. Well, later on, it was converted into a aristocratic building, which required a new entrance that would be the white door frame, and also the windows on the upper floor were relocated. Well, the reason why we know where the 1400s gate was and where the 1400s windows were basically the Second World War. During the Second World War, the Castle Hill was bombed to the ground. There were only 4 apartments that could be used right after the siege. Everything else had to be rebuilt. Well, the reconstruction took place during the 1960s and 1970s. And the first step of the archaeological reconstruction was the so-called war research. Well, the war research, during the war research, buildings were stripped down. They tried to remove as many layers of plaster as possible. Like you can see here, that's like half of a palm worth of plaster was peeled off. And the idea of the war research was to figure out which of the previous architectural style should be rebuilt after the Second World War. It is worth to know, it's important to know that between the 1200s and the Second World War, there were in total of 31 sieges for the Buda Castle hill. So the building's been destroyed and rebuilt over and over again. The war research, the outcome of the war research was that the most dominant style is late 1700s, early 1800s, sort of like residential Baroque. And well, that was the style that they put in a spotlight. And if they find something older than that, like in the previous building's case, a partial window frame, they failed to plaster it back. So this way, multiple facades up on the castle hill feature different architectural styles, different features, different centuries. If you like this style of historical reconstruction, I am happy to tell you that the master plan of the reconstruction was basically my family's product. So you can see that a brutalist building features medieval walls as well inside. So if you like it, I'm happy to tell you that my family was involved. If you dislike it, well, we have nothing to do with this, obviously. We are innocent. Well, we are going to move out to the boardwalk. And in the meantime, you can see a lovely brutalist building in the middle of your screen. Well, not every single building was to be salvaged. After the Second World War, there were certain gaps that had to be filled, and those gaps were filled with, well, brutalist buildings that aimed only one single thing, fill the gaps and to direct your attention to those buildings that could be restored. As you can see, as soon as we move a little bit away from the landmarks, the neighborhood turns into really like a village. There are foxes and other predators are not an uncommon sight, regardless of the fact that we are in the heart of Buda. So from this vantage point, you can see the hills of Buda in the distance. You have to trust me, but this would be the highest point of Budapest, 520 plus meters above the level of Amsterdam, which is the 0 point of Europe. In Hungary, 500 meters is the minimum requirement, minimum altitude, minimum height for a geographic feature to be called a mountain. This way we also have hills. In Austria, where they have the Alps, the minimum requirement is 1,000 meters. But, we are Hungarians, so we lowered the bar, so we would have the same names for geographic features. That's one way to challenge the Austrians. Well, this would be Christina town, the valley itself, named after Maria Theresia's daughter. She got the valley as a wedding gift. And I've mentioned that we have an obsolete defense line here. That would be the wall to our west, to our right. Now, the only reason to keep it is to prevent landslides. We can see a bunch of cranes ahead of us in the distance. As I've mentioned, a lot of buildings are under construction up on the Buda Castle hill. The building closest to us happens to be the skeleton of the Archduke Joseph Palace that survived the Second World War. But as part of the 1950s, 1970s is cancel culture, whatever royal thing survived the Second World War, it got deconstructed by the communist leadership. And you may wonder how come that dogs can walk without a leash. Apparently they are on an agenda. In the Buda Castle, but only in the Buda Castle, dogs can be walked without a leash after 5 p.m. Budapest has 23 districts. The districts are further divided into 204 neighborhoods. And since this is a village trapped in the city, well, this neighborhood has different regulations than the neighborhood like one level below us. And one of the biggest differences is that on the hilltop, you can walk your dog without a leash. And like in a proper village, the most important venue of socializing are the benches. This is the main venue of the neighborhood watch as well. Just like in the rural areas in Hungary, when someone from the village is ready to be engaged in a conversation, the one would sit on the bench in front of their house. As you can see, these benches are long enough, wide enough to provide a place for multiple people. So you would sit on the bench, basically uh, sign to other locals that you are ready to engage in to be engaged in a conversation. This applies only for those who live in the neighborhood, like me, who happen to live on the wrong side of the city, on the Pest side. Pest and Buda are still in a crazy rivalry with each other. I would have no chance to engage locals in a conversation. The same thing applies for the countryside as well. However, the Hungarian countryside is more into extremes. Either they have their arms wide open and they are super welcoming, or well, they will be hostile to intruders and they will call the cops. How would someone know which side you live? Well, first things first, that few hundred people who live on the hilltop, they won't recognize me, which means I'm an outsider. Easy as that. The facial recognition software is built into everyone in this village and upgraded constantly. The slang is otherwise different in South Pest, North Pest, and Buda. Those who live on the Buda side, they tend to move slower. Their income tends to be higher, so they have more time to enjoy life, which means that they move slower. It's absolutely obvious. If you would be here on the spot, you would enter a shopping mall on the Buda side, and then immediately after you would enter a shopping mall on the Pest side. Well, on the Pest side, it's more like about hustle and bustle. On the Buda side, it's more about enjoying the simple pleasures of life. It's all about the average discretional income of those living on the Buda and on the Pest side. Now we have a construction work in front of us where we aim to rebuild the National High Command HQ that happened to look like well, one brief second. Obviously, that picture is successfully hiding. Well, since it's hiding, although I know that it exists, let's talk about the other construction site. So this would be the Archduke Joseph Palace. The Archduke Joseph Palace is the one I showed you from a distance. And I'm gonna keep showing you this picture because we have a bunch of police officers I have to walk past, and they don't like any cameras pointing at them. So the Archduke Joseph Palace survived the Second World War standing with some minor wounds, but as part of a cancel culture, as I mentioned earlier, it could not survive the time of socialism or communism. It was deconstructed in the 1960s. Now, this is the building that we are rebuilding at the moment. So this would be our live view, and the structure ahead of us is the skeleton of the Archduke Joseph Palace. Now, the reconstruction is quite unique, to be honest. The purpose of the reconstruction is to rebuild the silhouette of the lost Buda Castle, but not the content of it. So imagine that we have this massive concrete skeleton on the hilltop that shows the silhouette of the lost Archduke Joseph Palace, but we have no idea how we're going to utilize this building. So the construction is ongoing, and sometime in the future, we're gonna figure out how this building will be utilized. From the inside, nothing is going to look like as it looked like before. It is going to be state-of-art, modern building from the inside. So many would refer to these buildings as theater sets. And well, the building that I couldn't show you from close by, I couldn't show the previous version from close by. I mean, this building that is being reconstructed here is the formal DOD. The building looked like, a minute ago, I had the picture. So the building looked like such prior to the Second World War. This would be the Department of Defense. Well, the Department of Defense was also deconstructed after the Second World War. On the right-hand side of the building, you can see the entrance to the Carmelite monastery that today serves as the office of the Prime Minister. That would be this building here, nicely lit up. And well, the building across the dark wasteland happens to be the residential palace, the Hungarian White House. We are going to go as close as possible to the Hungarian White House, which was built actually in 1806 for the Alexander family. Hence the other name of the presidential palace, Alexander Palace. The Alexander family was known for their love of horses. So legend says it. This palace was designed in a fashion to accommodate horses. Well, the Alexander family was blue-blooded, so they had a title, they had money. They enjoyed the privilege of being eccentric. They actually took this privilege as well. They used it. So imagine that in 1806, legend says it that this building featured no staircases, just ramps. So this way the family members could ride their horses up on the second floor as well. And they were eating from horseback. So in their dining room, the table had to match the height of their horses so that they could reach the cutlery, the plates and the food and so on in the most comfortable fashion. Now that's what we call eccentric. Today, this building serves as the presidential palace. You may have heard the news today. The representatives in the House of Parliament elected a new president after the previous had to resign for pardoning someone who committed crimes that shall not be pardoned at any given point, crimes against minors. And when this was brought to light, well, the president had to resign. So as of from Monday, we have a new president who will take office on the 30th of March. The previous head of Constitutional Court will be the next president of Hungary. You can see that there is hardly no security around the building, and there is hardly no security perimeter either. Basically, the perimeter is like 15 or 10 meters deep, and that's it. The reason why there is no security is not that we have no president at the moment, because Hungary is not a presidential state. The real political power is in the prime minister's hands. Well, we have the top station of the funicular as well, right next to us. And we have the Habsburg Gate as well in sight. And before we would go for a breathtaking view of the house of the Cambridge, my apologies, let me show you how the Habsburg gate looked like in 1944. So hardly no damages to the Habsburg Gate. This picture was taken before the aerial bombardments started. You can recognize both the gate and the eagle-like creature on the column. This would be the eagle-like creature. I've mentioned earlier that Hungarians worshipped three animals prior to forcefully converting everyone to be Roman Catholic, and one was the eagle. The eagle was way too common predator at the time of the Hungarian tribes' arrival to the Carpathian Basin. So there was a totemic version of the eagle, the so-called turul, and that's the one on the column. We also have a minuscule statues to enjoy on the hilltop, and this would be a cartoon figure, the so-called checked ear rabbit, with a binocular checking out the views of Pest, trying to find a crime to solve, trying to find an issue to solve. The checked ear rabbit was a famous cartoon, a Czechoslovakian cartoon in the 1970s. So basically, my generation was raised on this cartoon instead of Tom and Jerry. Before Cartoon Network was introduced to the roster, we have a Hungarian-Ukrainian sculptor, Kolotko, who delivers guerrilla art to various corners of the city. And well, when I said breathtaking views of the Chain Bridge, this is what I meant. So you may remember that we had the House of Parliament right across the river from where we started from. So we walked about half a mile already. And this would be the Chain Bridge, the roundabout on the Buda side, which is basically mirrored to the Pest side, where we also have a roundabout. In Budapest, every bridge features a sidewalk, so pedestrians can cross from one side of the city to the other. The Chain Bridge is no different. It was recently opened after a several-year-long reconstruction work. The Chain Bridge was severely damaged during the Second World War, to the point that it collapsed together with the rest of the bridges, providing a link between Pest and Buda. This is how the Chain Bridge looked like after the Second World War. Right now, we are standing by the Eagle. Well, I'm streaming like, so sorry. Apparently there are so few people up on the castle hill that I was asked to take pictures as well. Well, I am able to do multitasking, but not to that point. So this is the Eagle. The second arrow is no different. There we are standing at the moment. And well, you can see one of the two funicular cars reaching the hilltop. We have two funiculars. The journey with a funicular takes about 2 minutes. Between the river and the hilltop, the difference is about 20 floors. So that's what one can cover with the help of a funicular. We're gonna sneak in, so you can check out how the funicular looks like. The funicular has been rebuilt in 1986. The funiculars used to have two cars, two classes. One with blue carpets for the bourgeois, for the privileged people, and one featuring wooden benches for, that was coach. Communism didn't like anyone with blue blood. So when the line was reopened in 1986, they made sure not to carpet the benches with blue carpets. So both the upper and the lower part of the funicular cars feature wooden benches. Now, what reminds us to the, first class is the price of a ride. It costs basically almost 10 euros for this 2-minute journey from the river to the hilltop or back. This is something that I am not completely comfortable to recommend. And well, we are going to continue and we are going to walk down the Habsburg stairs, and we are going to feel the distance between us and the former royal palace of Buda that we conveniently call the Buda Castle today. And I know that the names are confusing. Buda Castle is both the hilltop neighborhood, and the building as well. We're going to wait until our path is cleared. We can do a cinematic crossing. So this would be the recently refurbished Habsburg gate that allows us to enter the southernmost part of the Buda Castle quarter. You can see that there is quite a bit of construction going on here as well. The A wing of the former royal palace has recently been completely gutted. The plan is to rebuild the ceremonial entrance of Wing A, which was Queen Elizabeth's wing, and to rebuild 2 other rooms as well, basically on the 2nd floor, that would lead people to Wing B, which used to feature the ballroom. The ballroom was close to 3,000 square feet. Small or large, Hungary is a country so small that we would fit in a bush, in a random bush in Texas, and you wouldn't find us. So consider the sizes like proportionately. The building was, although the silhouette of the building was rebuilt after the Second World War, but the content wasn't. The interior wasn't. The building, the rooms in Wing A looked as such after the Second World War. To give you an impression, this was the so-called buffet gallery. This is the 2nd floor that I've pointed out a minute ago. So this is how it looked like after the aerial bombardment. And that would be the 2nd floor here. And the plan, but plans can be made for free, basically. And we'll see how it will look like. But according to last December's plan, the reconstructed buffet gallery will look like such. And this is basically the teaser towards the ballroom. So give us a few years' time and we'll see how things will turn out to be. Right now, the best I can do is to brag with the street lights and with the intricate details of the street lights. Well, as you can see, the city might be beautiful, but maintenance is something that we still have to learn. 4 out of 5, that's quite a good ratio. The fifth lamp has been malfunctioning since forever, so it's yesterday's news. If any one of you happens to be in building maintenance, well, the entire country can be your client. And based on the sound of the bells, I've realized that it's, well, 6:30 p.m. But if you're okay with, well, a couple of extra minutes, I would love to show you Wing B as well from close by. And in the meantime, well, I'm happy to, well, raise your attention to the lack of ornaments on the facade of the former royal palace. The thing is that, as I've mentioned during the post-Second World War times, the political goal with the building was to rebuild its silhouette, to make it look like that the building still exists. The idea was that with the reconstructed silhouette of the former Buda Castle, we can, and that would be my silhouette. With the reconstructed formal royal palace, we can lure tourists into the country, and they would bring their hard cash with. And they would have to exchange their hard cash to local currency once they cross the borders. We were focusing a lot on making as much hard cash as possible. The Hungarian forint, the official currency of the country, was not convertible. We couldn't exchange it to US dollars, to West German marks, and to other hard currencies of Europe. Tourism was our only choice, only chance to get hard cash, and we broke our own rules to make money. And when I say we broke our own rules, I mean that we invested a lot in the reconstruction of the former royal palace. However, earlier I mentioned to you that cancel culture reached every building that had anything to do with the royal past of Hungary and survived the Second World War. The fate of the former royal palace was largely different. It was salvaged in a relatively basic fashion. So currently, there's only one room inside the entire complex that looks like as it looked like before 1944. And that room was reopened to the general public on the 20th of August 2021, so not too long ago. And well, we have another equestrial statue. We started with an equestrial statue, so towards the end, we shall have another equestrial statue as well to properly frame the tour visually as well. This would be the equestrial statue of Prince Eugene of Savoy. He was the one who liberated Hungary from the Ottoman Turks back in 1686. This statue was not meant to stand here in front of the formal royal palace of Buda. It was meant for a town in Serbia, for the town of Zenta, where Prince Eugene had his greatest battle. But, when the statue and the pedestal were ready, it turned out that the Serbian town could not pay for the artwork they've ordered. So both the pedestal and the equestrial statue find itself on the art market, and the architect who was responsible for the facelift, for facelifting the royal palace, convinced the emperor and the king of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy to purchase this artwork. so that it could stand on the eastern side of the royal palace, facing the direction towards which the campaign of Prince Eugene of Savoy continued from Budapest. And well, our goal is to make our way out to a vantage point ahead of us, which will take about a minute. A vantage point, just as far as I can hear, is occupied by a Spanish-speaking group. So we'll see how much you will be able to hear of me. They're using a loudspeaker to it's not too easy to compete with that. We'll see. So this would be one of the most famous vantage points of the Buda Castle. You may have seen commercials of Viking cruises, Scenic, Dow, and so on, promoting multi-country Danube cruise with this image, with the chain bridge in the foreground and with the House of Parliament in the background. And that photo was taken right here. Well, we have the former Royal Palace of Buda to our west, to our left now. The wing that I'm showing you at the moment accommodates the National Gallery, and the other wings of this complex accommodate the Budapest History Museum, also known as the Castle Museum, and the National Library is still inside this building at the moment. And the reason why I'm underlining at the moment is that the construction works are ongoing and plans are changing quite often. The finish line is constantly being moved ahead or to the side or backwards, but it's not a stable finish line. So we'll see how this building will look like. Keep me on your virtual travel shortlist, and I can update you with the new ideas regarding how the Buda Castle will look like in the future. And if you ever travel to Budapest in person, well, feel free to reach out to me, and I will be more than happy to update you in person. Well, this was your hour-long virtual tour of the Buda Castle quota. Well, thank you very much for your time. I cross my fingers that you consider this time well spent. And this was both entertaining and educating as well. Thank you so much for your questions. It's always lovely to show around people who are interested. Thank you very much for your smiles as well. If you ever make an in-person visit to Hungary, please note facial muscles in Hungary are paralyzed. If you smile at a Hungarian, will likely not return your smiles. And it will have nothing to do with you. Don't take it personally. We have problems with life. So that's why we don't smile. This is why these muscles do not work in Hungary. So take this into consideration. Come here in person, raise the bar high of smiling so we can complain the bar is high.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very,
was wonderful.
very much. If any one of you happen to miss this live virtual tour that you wanted to join this tour, you've seen that I recorded this tour. I can provide you the recording later on. Just provide me an email address. In the booking confirmation, you received my WhatsApp number. Drop me an email and you will get the recording as well. You can share it with others as well. That's the extra bonus special feature from me to you for taking this tour at the right time of the day.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. If you have any questions left, time to ask.
Any questions? No? All right. Well, thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Thank you very much. What's the
Oh,
weather like? Well, last question. What's the weather like? Well, the weather is weird. Basically, the same thing happens this year as last year. February is like March. January is like February. So we are super scared that March will be like January and April like February. So it's 12 degrees Celsius at the moment. I apologize, I'm not able to convert it into Fahrenheit. My bad. But basically, the weather feels like first week March or second week March. It's not supposed to be like this. So some of the flowers are blooming like 4 weeks ahead of normal schedule. So, yeah, strange year so far. We may got the short winter that we always pray for, or Captain Winter will kick in the door sometime in March, and then the country will be covered in snow. And Easter Bunny will come on skis. Who knows? Well, yeah, but that's the weather like. So sorry, I'm talkative. The weather is like, and then the answer is 15 minutes long. Anyways, thank you for the last question. I'll have to conclude this tour. If you drop me a line on WhatsApp, I told you I'm able to send you the recording, and I can also send you a link where you can leave a review of this tour if you would have a moment online. Thank you so much. Cross my fingers. I'll see you sometime very soon on a different virtual tour of Budapest. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.